What's up, EXO owners? This is Carlos Valdez, and I'm coming to you live from my headquarters. It is Father's Day 2022, so happy Father's Day to everyone, to all the fathers out there. Today I wanted to just post this video because I went on Facebook Live yesterday and provided this information on the EXO Drones owners page on Facebook there, and then I later realized that I couldn't post that to YouTube because it's just on Facebook, and I wanted to make sure that I could get the information out there to as many people that I could, because not everyone's on Facebook. And I also wanted to post this to the EXO Premium Community site, which is a newer but great resource for information to go ahead and get answers to questions or have discussions about our drones. And today's topic is really two topics. First, I want to talk about memory cards, and then I just have a tip about cables. So we'll get to that. Let's talk memory cards. So this question comes up a lot. What kind of memory card should I get? And I am, not a memory card, SD card professional. I'm just going to share with you guys what I find works best based on my research and my experience. And I've looked into this a little bit and learned a lot, so I wanted to share that knowledge. So the first thing I'll talk about is SD cards. A long time ago, they were called TF cards, trans flash cards, and they're probably still called that today. And then we went to SD, which is secure digital, and way back it was just SD cards. Then they went out and came out with SDHC, which is secure digital high capacity, right? As the cards got bigger and bigger in capacity, 32 gig, 8 gig, 16 gig, instead of just the lower stuff, they said, or they started calling them SDHC. Then the newest thing now is SDXC, which is secure digital extra high capacity. And that just means, you get to your 64s and your 128s and your 256s and your 512s, and you're talking about extra high capacity. But what I really want to talk about is the different ratings and classes of SD cards. So I have a couple cards here that I'm going to show on the screen, and I want to show you guys the differences and what the experiences that I have had or that I've had with our EXO drones as it relates to using these cards. So if we're talking first about classes, right, you'll see that a lot of SD cards have a class rating. So a long time ago there was class 2, class 6, and class 8. And back in 2009 they came out with class 10, and that's now kind of the standard. And the class is basically the speed of the card. So we'll get more into that as we discuss here, but the speed of the card. So if at all possible, when using an SD card, you want to make sure that it's at minimum a class 10. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, it's really tough to find one that's not a class 10 right now. Most of what you see out there that's available on Amazon or online or at your local, Walmart or whatever, is going to be a class 10 card. But there are some different ratings for cards that are important. So first off, there's an A rating. Okay, you'll see that a lot of the cards have an A rating. The A rating is going to be either an A1 or an A2, and that's your application speed rating. Now, for all intents and purposes, I can tell you guys that's not going to have a lot of bearing on our drones, and here's why. Because when you're talking about application rating, there's my buddy with his motorcycle. When you're talking about application ratings, you're talking about a person that's going to run an application on the SD card on their mobile device, for example. So you insert the SD card into your mobile phone, and maybe you're running out of space, so you're now installing applications to that SD card. So the application, or the A1 application speed, 1 rating versus a 2 rating, is going to have bearing on the speed at which that application can process. In the drone world, that really doesn't matter. We're not really installing applications on our SD card. What we're doing is we're recording videos and pictures to our SD card. So what we care about are a couple of other ratings. One of them is going to be the U rating. You'll see that a lot of the cards now, they say UHS, and that stands for ultra high speed. And there's 2 ratings for the UHS. It'll be indicated by a U on the SD card, and I'll demonstrate that on these cards. You have U1 and U3. In addition to the UHS rating, you also have the V rating. The V rating is going to be your video speed rating, and you'll see V10, V30, V60, and V90. So I want to talk about what I think works best. First and foremost, let's talk about the Ranger. That's basically the start for EXO as far as what they offer, and then they go up from there, right? They go up in features, they go up in camera quality, they go up in technology. But the Ranger, excellent baseline drone, excellent beginner drone, excellent drone to do some real estate stuff with if you're into that and you have your Part 107. Really good drone, but you can make a mistake with the memory card and really mess yourself up. So the memory card for the EXO Ranger, X7 Ranger or Ranger Plus, the first thing that you want to know is you want to go with something that's 32 gigabytes or lower. Okay, I know there's folks out there that have tried 64 or 128 and maybe they've worked, but I'm just telling you guys what EXO recommends is no more than 32 gigs. Now, you can't just go out and buy any 32 gigabyte card because these speed ratings have a lot to do with it. And then if you buy the wrong card, you're going to end up with laggy, choppy video. You're going to end up with video that maybe doesn't save correctly. So I'm going to give you guys an example first of a 32 gigabyte card that I have here. So this card is a SanDisk Ultra Plus. So this is the first card I want to talk about now. And I apologize, it's kind of tough to see on my camera. I'm recording this on my computer, but this, when you see SanDisk Ultra Plus, one would think, hey, that's a decent card. It's a SanDisk, it says Ultra Plus, right? Well, the problem with this card, guys, is that this is a V10 card, okay? Now, there is no U rating on this card. This is an SDHC card, and there is no U rating on the card, but there is a V rating on there. And if you look closely, it says V10, okay? Now, the V rating. V10 means 10 megabytes per second. That's the write speed of the card. So for your Ranger and all EXO drones, you want to have something that's at least a V30. That is going to be extremely important because 10 megabytes per second, when you're talking about 4K video especially, or in the case of the Ranger, 2.7K video, it's not fast enough. So you want to get something that's at least a V30. Okay, the video recording speed, 30 megabytes per second. Now, I'm not sure that you really need to go V60 or V90. I never have, and I own right now all of the EXO drones, and I've never had a problem with any of them using a V30 card. But what you don't want to do is you do not want to use a V10 card. That is way too slow. Now, I don't have a 32 gigabyte example, a good example of a 32 gigabyte card for the Ranger with me right now. But I do have a couple of other cards that I want to show you guys that I do use, and they're excellent. Okay, here's another bad example first. This is a Samsung Evo Plus card. Okay, now this card here is a card that it's really hard to see, but that card is an Evo Plus card. You think it's 64 gigs, but when you look at it, it's a U1 card, ultra high speed 1 card. And I actually attempted to use this card in my Cinemaster 2, and I had some problems with it. My video was choppy a little bit, and I couldn't figure out what it was because I thought I got a great card. So when I started using something that was U3 rated, ultra high speed 3 rated, which is the better of the two ratings for U, all my problems went away on the Cinemaster. So this is a good example of a card that I use on my Cinemaster right now and on some of my other drones. And brand, in a lot of cases, doesn't matter, guys. Get something that's decent that, folks have heard of before, but don't go spending $50 on a memory card, okay? This card here is a PNY, and as you can see, it's kind of tough to see, but this is a U3 card, and it's also a V30 card. You can see the ratings right there. It'll say, it'll have a little U. Inside the U, there'll be a 3. Right next to that, you'll see it says A1, application speed 1, which again does not matter. and then you'll see towards this side here, it'll say V30 right there. This is a 64 gig card. They do sell this card on Amazon in a 32 gig version. So if you need a card for your Ranger, I would recommend a PNY. This is the way to go. And I will leave links when I post this video down below on YouTube to all of these cards that I'm talking about. Now, the Cinemaster 2 drone, okay? This guy right here. This guy can take up to a 64 meg card, okay? Now what you want to do is make sure that you have a V30 U3 card. Again, when you're talking about this card here, 64 megs or 64 gigs PNY, that's going to be a U3 V30 card, okay? Now, you also have read and write speeds on cards, and a lot of the cards will advertise that. As an example, the PNY card that I just showed you guys, this card here, on the packaging it'll say 100 megabyte read speed. Read speed. The write speed is always going to be lower than the read speed, always, on any card. But you want to get something that is comparable, right? There's all kinds of read and write speeds. So when I got my Blackhawk 2 Pro, this puppy here, which by the way I love, if you're thinking about buying this drone, you should get it. It's unbelievable. But on this drone, I wanted to get an SD card. This particular drone has a 64 megabyte onboard memory, but I wanted an SD card because I prefer to remove the card and pop it into my computer as opposed to hooking the drone up to my with a cable. However, it's great that it has onboard memory because I've forgotten my SD card before, and it's terrible when you do that. You get up in the air and, like on my Blackhawk, I own the original Blackhawk, and if you don't have an SD card in it, it won't take video or stills. So it's nice that with the Blackhawk 2 they went to that. But I prefer to use an SD card, and what I did is I went and bought a Samsung Pro Plus card, this card here. Now this card here is 128 gigabytes. This is a U3 rated card. It's also an application speed of 2, which again does not matter. It was just nice that it had that. And it's, as you can see, it's a V30 card. I don't have the packaging anymore. I just got this card a couple days ago. But this card also has a read speed of 160 megabytes and also a write speed of 120 megabytes. So that's really about the best card that you can buy right now, in my opinion, for the Blackhawk 2 Pro. And when you talk about the Blackhawk series that just came out, you've got the Blackhawk 2 Pro, you've got the Blackhawk 2, which also will accept the memory card. Then you've got the Mini Pro Plus, which no onboard memory card is possible there. That's just a 64 and a 128 option. You choose. It's all on board. There's no slot for a card, that is. And then you've got the EXO Mini, which has a slot for a card, and you can go ahead and buy one of those cards. So any of the new models that EXO produced and just released, the Blackhawk series, with the exception of the EXO Mini Pro, will take that Samsung card, and I'll leave the link description down below so that you guys can buy this card. It was $20.99 on Amazon. It was 30% off, so great buy for a 128 gigabyte card. So that's my knowledge on SD cards. The other thing that I'll share is on the Ranger, the EXO Ranger. I know that I've looked everywhere in the software and I cannot find it. I don't think it's possible to format the SD card from the application within the drone. However, on all other EXO drones, the Cinemaster 2, the Blackhawk, and all the other new drones that they just released, the Blackhawk 2 series, those drones will allow you to format the card from inside the application. And I would highly recommend that you do that, because that way, as opposed to doing it in a computer and then putting it in the drone, you know that the card has been formatted correctly. What better to format the drone, the card, than the actual drone? So if you own a Cinemaster 2, or if you own a Blackhawk, or if you own any of the 4 new drones, again, not the EXO Mini Pro because there's no card slot there, but any of the drones that take a memory card, format the drone from within the application. On the Ranger, I don't really think that's possible, so you're gonna have to just format your card in a Windows PC or on an Apple PC to FAT32 format, and you should be fine. Now, with that being said, the original Cinemaster, I know there's some of you guys out there that probably still own that drone. I never owned that drone. I believe it does have an SD card slot, so I would treat that drone similar to the Cinemaster drone. The Cinemaster 2 drone. So, in any case, my advice to you guys, get a card that's a V30, get a card that's a U3. Those are the two ratings that you want to pay attention to. On the Ranger, no more than 32 gigabytes. On the Cinemaster 2, up to 64 gigabytes. And on the Blackhawk 2 Pro, Blackhawk 2, or EXO Mini, you can go all the way to 256. But the important thing is get a U3 V30 rated card. Now, that covers memory cards. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today is just a tip for you guys on cables. So, with my Blackhawk original and also my Blackhawk 2 Pro, this is the cable that is supplied with the drone. Now, Hubsan manufactures these cables, the manufacturer of the drone. I can share with you guys that DJI also uses cables like this. I'm not an owner of an Autel drone. I never have. I don't know. Can't speak to Autel. But as far as the two main manufacturers, Autel and DJI, I know DJI uses these. And I know that Hubsan also uses these. And what I'm going to tell you guys as my advice here is these cables right here, they do tend to go bad. I own a Blackhawk. I own the Blackhawk 2 Pro. I also own another Hubsan drone that I've had for about a year now. Excellent drone, and also brings this cable. Here's what I don't like about this cable. This is not, super great quality, okay? This, when you start bending it on your remote, you see how that crease stays there, okay? Over time, these are going to go bad, and you're going to start to get messages that say like USB disconnected. And when you start to get that message, anyone can get that message once, it happens, but when you start to get that message constantly, that's when you start to have a problem. So I don't really think that this is a super high quality cable. So what I'm going to recommend is two things. Number one is always buy a spare cable, because you don't want to go out there and be flying in the field trying to have some fun and then your cable goes bad, and there goes your experience, right? Now obviously I'm talking about either the Blackhawk or any of the 4 new Blackhawk 2 drones in that series that were released. They all use this cable. Cinemaster 2, Ranger, those are Wi-Fi drones. Don't have to worry about the cable. But my advice is going to be get yourself a spare cable. And I'll go a step further and say get yourself a little bit better quality. This cable here that I'll show you guys is a cable that I got on Amazon. And what's unique about this cable is you can see that it's braided. It is a braided cable. It's got some nice ends on it. Okay, I use a lightning cable, but they do have it in a bunch of different styles. This is micro USB to lightning, which is what I use with my iPhone. You also have micro USB to micro USB if you have an older phone. And then you also have micro USB to USB-C, which is the oval one. And then you also they also sell them in USB-C to USB-C, but that wouldn't apply to an EXO drone because we're still using the micro SD slot on the controller end of things. So this cable here is much more durable. First of all, it's a lot longer. As you can see, they're much longer, so you got some room here with your remote. I think these are a little tight as well, but the other thing is that they're braided and they're much more durable. This cable right now is about a year old. I've been using this on my Hubsan drone and my Blackhawk drone, and I love it. I don't even bother using the factory cables anymore. So what I wanted to point out is I just bought 2 new cables when I bought my Blackhawk 2 Pro, and I bought 2 because they offered a 2-pack on Amazon for $13.99. So they're not very expensive cables. This is actually the same exact cable in a different color. This is the red version. That's the grayish, I guess, gray and black version. And the cables are much better quality in my opinion, and they're inexpensive. So I would highly recommend that you purchase a spare cable. Go on Amazon. I'll leave the link below in the video. Go on Amazon and get yourself this braided cable. It's pretty inexpensive. It'll come quickly if you get it on Amazon, and it'll save you a headache in terms of getting a cable that or having a spare. Buy a couple of them if you have multiple drones, or you can never go wrong buying an extra cable. This cable here, I think this is an improvement that I know I've suggested to EXO already, so that they can work with Hubsan and give us something on these drones that's a little bit better quality. And I would say the same thing to a DJI. They seem to really use these flimsy, very, very, very skinny cables, and they're not great. So again, get yourself a nice braided cable off Amazon. Well worth the $10 or $12, $13 investment. You can get them in a 1-pack as well. They're about $8.99. I just went ahead and went with the 2-pack for $13.99. And I'm going to talk about one other thing here, because I think it's pertinent that you guys know this. It's very, very cool that I did this. So when you buy your drone, FAA registration is necessary on a lot of these drones. And I'm going to give you guys a quick tip that I particularly like as it relates to your FAA registration. So what you can do, guys, is you can go ahead and purchase, let's see here, on my Cinemaster 2 on Amazon. You'll notice I have my drone labeled with my FAA number, and then I also have, I'll take this off, I also have, if found, call this number, and it's got my phone number on there. So these labels are available on Amazon, and they're like $12, and they give you 3 labels. They give you 3 pairs, of labels. You get your FAA number and your phone number, 3 different labels, right? Three stickers of each. And then you can also get battery labels on there. You can also get, I don't have it with me right now, but it comes also with a nice card. Boy, I wish I had it outside with me, guys. I'm sorry. The card will have your FAA registration number on it, and you can carry that card in your drone or in your wallet, like in your drone bag or in your wallet. And it's a nice card to have on there if you need to show that, if anyone ever asks you, are you registered or anything like that. But mainly I wanted to talk about the stickers and point that out to you guys so that you can label your drone. You have this version, and they also sell a smaller version if you want that. The sticker's about that big, so you can put that kind of on the back of your drone right here if you want, or on the side or something. And very nice professional way to label your drone with your FAA number, and also put your phone number on your drone. That way, in case something does happen and you lose it, you crash it, whatever, someone can give you a call and you can retrieve it. So I'll leave a link to that as well in this video. Again, just wanted to spend a little time talking about memory cards and cables and giving you guys my thoughts and advice. I hope everyone enjoys their Father's Day. And I'll go ahead and close this video out. I'm going to do some flying a little later, hopefully, if the wind dies down. It's a beautiful day here in upstate New York. And as always, a pleasure to speak to you guys. And like I always say, happy flying, gang.